Hi everyone, and welcome and thank you for joining us on what's a very exciting day in the British Lymphology Society Lymphoedema Awareness Week webinar programme. I'm Margaret Snedden, Chair of the BLS, and delighted that we've not only got a very special webinar coming up, but we're also marking the 9th World Lymphoedema Day. And we're joined with colleagues all around the world and people with lymphedema, and raising our voices in celebration of an ever-growing community of people working to raise awareness and improve the treatment of people with lymphedema. So before going into the webinar, please watch a short, we're going to show a short video for World Lymphoedema Day prepared by colleagues in the Lymphatic Education and Research Network. If you attended the BLS conference, have a look out because you may even spot yourself on the video. And the video highlights that lymphedema is a global problem affecting all ages, many causes and contributory factors. But all our members, our partners, supporters are working hard this week to raise awareness, and you can help support that by sharing information with your colleagues, by reposting or sending messages on social media. Every little bit helps. And there are also resources on the BLS website to help you do that. So we'll stop now, and I'll let you see the video for World Lymphoedema Day. Happy World Lymphoedema Day to everyone.
British Lymphology Society are supporting World Lymphoedema Day.
Okay, so this year our webinars are focused on how lymphedema impacts on children and young people with their families. I hope you enjoy this session today. We're going to hear from Cheryl Tierney, a mother of 4 children, 2 of whom have lymphedema, and she'll be in conversation with Rebecca Elwell, who is a BLS trustee, an advanced nurse practitioner in lymphedema, and also a member of our Children's Lymphedema Specialist Interest Group. And after that, we'll have a question and answer session. If you do have questions, please put them in the questions. Please press the question button on the bottom right of your screen. But if you have any technical problems or other comments, please use the chat. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you after the video.
So we are delighted to be with you today as part of the British Lymphology Society's Lymphoedema Awareness Week on World Lymphoedema Day, and talking about your 2 stars. And I'm delighted that we have the opportunity to ask you some questions, because you're in a very unique position as a mum of 2. And so what I'd like to start off by asking you is, what is it? What's the one thing you wish you'd known about lymphedema before the children were diagnosed?
Well, Becky, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure, and happy World Lymphedema Day to everybody watching. I suppose when I think about this, I think the main thing that comes to mind is that don't panic, it will be okay. And that is probably the hardest thing that we had to deal with. Was we'd never heard of lymphedema, we didn't know what to expect. At the time when Mary Kate was only born, she was very, very sick, and it was all just crazy. And I think if someone had have just said, look, it's going to be okay, that would have been all we needed, you know, and it will be okay. There is nothing that you can't do with lymphedema. It's just about learning to take things different. It's a different approach, but it will be absolutely fine. And I think if someone had have just taken us aside and told us that, maybe things would have been a little bit easier. So if there's anybody out there that's in a bit of a panic, don't. It will be okay. There is a huge community out there ready to support you. You might have to dig a wee bit to find us, but we are all definitely here, and we are more than willing to support everyone on this journey, and it will be okay.
Thank you. I think it's that reassurance that you were looking for then, isn't it? And that anybody would be in that position, just to know that things will be all right, and that you can have an adapted but normal
Yes.
life. And is that
Yes.
the advice that you would give to parents of children with lymphedema? Is that the sort of golden take-home message really that you would give?
Definitely. Well, I suppose there's probably more than one golden nugget of information that I would give to parents. But first of all, yes, absolutely, don't panic. And that's easier said than done. That is your baby. They are your entire world. You have waited your time to have them here, and there's nobody knows more than me how much your world crashes and turns upside down when you're faced with something wrong. And it was really funny. I was talking about this with Mary Kate over the weekend, and she went, "No, mommy, it's not that there's something wrong, because there's not something wrong. They are perfect as they are." And it's just learning to accept that, you know what, I think as parents, you do have to go through a bit of a grieving process. And I remember when someone first said that to me, I was really offended, because I thought, why would I be grieving my children here, and I love them dearly. But you grieve the child and the life that you thought you were going to have. And that's something that's really hard. And I would say to parents, it's okay to go through the emotions. I went through them, but I tied myself up in knots for it. I was overwhelmed with guilt for feeling all these negative emotions about lymphedema, not about the child. But I would say allow yourself time to go through them, find your circle, keep them small, keep them around you, but definitely don't panic, be kind to yourself, allow yourself to go through that journey, seek support. Knowledge is absolutely power when it comes to lymphedema, and while the internet's great, we need to make sure that we're getting more knowledge from the correct sources, and they are there to be found. And I suppose the biggest thing, Becky, is trust your gut. And with lymphedema, there's not a lot of professionals that know about it. Thankfully, it's come on so much, as we found in the past even 12 years from we've had Mary Kate. It's come on so much. But there's still times that I'm the one doing the educating. And as parents, we need to be confident in doing that. Follow your gut. You know your child. You know them best. Our health professionals don't know everything. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to challenge. Mommy and daddy absolutely know best. And you have absolutely got this. It will be fine.
That's the best piece of advice ever, is to not beat yourself up over the way you're feeling, and trust yourself, trust your views, trust your judgment. Like you said, listen to your gut. You know your little ones better than anyone. And also, how interesting to hear that Mary Kate said, "I'm perfect. It's not that there's something wrong." That's so true, isn't it? To think about that in that way.
I know, because we do, I suppose we just have a tendency in our language just to say, there's something wrong, or it's a condition or a disability and these things. And Mary Kate's very much, no, she's quite, her and Ben both are quite, they are open, and they would say that, yes, it is a disability and that they have to work around it, but they're also very much aware that they don't have something wrong. If anything, they are perfectly right. And that
Absolutely.
goes for everyone with lymphedema, not just our children, everyone. We are perfect as we are. We all need to remember that.
Definitely. Yeah, that is so lovely. So true. So true. And I guess that leads on to really listening to Mary Kate talk about that impact. What do you feel is the impact on children living with lymphedema, on their relationships? So with friends, for example, with social groups, with clubs, at school, outside of school. What's the impact on a child with lymphedema?
I think we have been very blessed, Becky, and I will put that down to the attitude that we adopted in terms of managing this as a family. We decided very early on that we would do anything we could to help another family to not have to suffer the way we suffered. And in part of that meant being very open about lymphedema, meant being very, having open conversations with their siblings and with them. From a very young age, Mary Kate and Ben knew that they had special legs. The minute they could walk and talk before they could even get their tongue around lymphedema, which they still struggle with at times, they knew that we had to do things a wee bit differently, and we were very open with that. And I think even speaking to Mary Kate at the weekend, she thinks that that really helped her in terms of just knowing from the outset that this is the way things are and this is how things have to be. And that gave them definitely a better confidence moving out into the world. And, you know, our older two boys who don't have lymphedema, they were very proactive in terms of caring for Mary Kate and Ben, but they were also very active in their own wee lives outside of school. You know, they got on really well at school. They done football and drama and boxing and all the things that they do. And it was really important for us that all four of our children got the exact same opportunities. And I think, again, it's about speaking up and, you know, advocating for your child. There's no reason why they can't attend out of school clubs, etc. So I think for Mary Kate and Ben, they definitely got all the same opportunities that the boys got. It just meant that we had to do things a wee bit differently. So it meant me and Daddy speaking to leaders of youth groups or drama clubs and football clubs and so on, but they have never been left excluded. We have had nothing but the most amazing support. Opportunities have been fantastic for them. And I think in terms of friendships, what we have done is, I think it creates, when I even was speaking to Mary Kate about this, it forces them to make better choices. So while children can be very open and honest, and sometimes not in always a nice way, it meant that Mary Kate and Ben, from a very young age, were able to select their friends very appropriately. And they have had very, very supportive friends all the whole way through school and outside of school, and that has been fantastic. And I think that's testament to them, that they know the people that they need to gravitate to. You know, Mary Kate even said in school now, if she tries to go up, there's quite a few flights of stairs, her friends will say, Mary Kate, no, we'll go and get the lift. And that is the type of people that she's gravitated towards. And that is what we want for all of our children, is we want them to be able to select the right group of people for them. So I think in that sense, it has been absolutely, you know, it hasn't been a hindrance at all, but we have had to maybe have a lot of conversations with outside groups and so on. But they have been able to socially interact and everything. They have done plays, they've recorded songs. You know, Ben is currently playing football, and the dread when he wanted to play football filled me. And for a month or two, no, don't know. I spoke to Jill, a physiotherapist. We got him the best shin pads we could find. We got the football boots to go on the feet, and now he has football coaches. They have actually all read the pack from the Lymphoedema Support Network for out of school clubs. So, I mean, it's not a no, it's just we need to adapt and we need to educate people. And that's how amazing that we are living in a society that really promotes inclusivity at the minute. And it can be hard when you have someone with lymphedema that's maybe not always visible. You know, Mary Kate and Ben's lymphedema at the minute is very well controlled. Other than their specially made shoes or their stockings being on display, it might not be overly obvious. But that can sometimes make it difficult too when your disability isn't obvious. But I think it's just so amazing that we are promoting that now, and that we're working towards that kind of society that really embraces hidden disabilities, or, you know, not so obvious disabilities and conditions. And I would definitely say that we have had, you know, no issues in that sense, and we have had fantastic support from the Lymphoedema Support Network, and their resources have really helped us to facilitate that for the children. So by all means, it's been a good experience so far.
I mean, thank you. You couldn't have explained that better. You've covered so much in helping us to understand, you know, that you haven't treated your children differently because they have lymphedema, and you're in that unique position, as we said, because you've got 2 children with lymphedema and 2 that don't. So we know that the inclusivity you've spoken about how they've been able to participate in lots and lots of different activities with different friendship groups, but that's been in a supported manner, with help. And you spoke about the Lymphoedema Support Network's documents and the free resources that are available, and also you spoke about the help that you've had from your lymphedema therapists and how that's helped to facilitate that. You touched on sort of special footwear. You touched on compression garments. I know that's something that has a whole host of difficulties with getting those right and getting those to fit and getting the children to wear them. And I know how as a family family, you guys see it as part of every day, and just normal getting washed, dressed and putting your clothes on. But that's not always the case, we know. And you've touched on the support for you guys as a family unit, you know, how you've had to look for that, you've had to engage in that, you've had to go outside of maybe the standard healthcare options to look for that, and to be informed, and to try now to help other people in that situation, which we really hope that this video today is going to do. So one thing that I'd just like to ask you to sum up really is to tell us about, from the future, what would you like to see for kids of the future with lymphedema?
Oh, Becky, that's a hard one. I always say, and again, this came from a very wise conversation with my beautiful 12-year-old daughter, that if I had a magic wand, I would cure them of their lymphedema. And after our very wise conversation, I decided, you know what, I probably wouldn't cure them of lymphedema. And the reason being, it has made them exactly who they are. They are perfect as they are, but it has taught our family so much. My two older boys have an empathy now for other people that I don't think I ever could have taught. I think only living in this experience can really teach. And I think moving forward, what we need is to see that empathy from everyone. And I suppose for people to realise, it's great that we have a focus on children's lymphedema this year. But really, children are just small adults. They're just smaller people, you know, so they feel the exact same. They hurt the exact same. You know, there's not really that much different. And they will eventually become our adults of the future. So I think it's really important that we keep campaigning, we keep the work going, and it has, you know, we've moved mountains in this past few years. There's no doubt that we still have mountains to move, but we have made such headway, and I would really hope that that there's just more awareness and knowledge and more acceptance from everyone. You know, it's not just about targeting your healthcare professionals to recognise lymphedema, but just for society as a whole, they see that, especially when it comes to those people who maybe can disguise their lymphedema a wee bit better, you know, that it's not always obvious. I know that for Mary, Kate and Ben, they find it very strange when some days they're not able to walk very far and they're in their wheelchair, and then other days they're able to get out and ride a bike. So them things, you know, them societal things are really, that's hard for the general public to get their head around. And I think if we keep doing this work and, you know, we keep encouraging that inclusivity and that awareness, that will only grow from strength to strength.
Fantastic. Oh, Cheryl, it's as ever a pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you so much for really saying so eloquently that that's what we're trying to do. BLS is trying to raise awareness of this very thing of living with lymphedema and how this affects the wider family, significant others, the whole care structure. And I cannot thank you enough. And I'm glad that we get to spend more time with you going forward as part of this question and answers that are coming up, and also as part of Lympholetics 2024. So thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl and Becky, for that very honest and inspiring presentation. You will see in a moment, yes, we also have a very special guest joining us, and I'd like to welcome Mary Kate, who's joining your mum in this presentation. So
Hi.
I'm going to come to you first, but I mean, what a busy and exciting week you've had this week. You've been on various television programs promoting lymphedema, helping people to understand what it is and how it affects you and other people. So really well done for that. And we thank you for all that you've done to help us raise awareness. So clearly you and your brother have enjoyed life. You do everything you want to do, and you've got a very supportive family. But there are always challenges with lymphedema. And this year you faced a particular milestone in that you've gone to secondary school, which is a challenge for any of us. But I wondered if you could start by telling us a little about how that's been for you, how others have responded.
It's very good because everyone's very supportive, all my friends and everyone. And my school gave me a classroom assistant to help me if my legs get sore. And all my teachers as well are very understanding and like very supportive, and all my friends.
Good. And I mean, has there been anything that's been difficult? I mean, it sounds as if they've done a lot of work to try and make things as easy as possible for you.
Not really, except just like explaining it to some of my friends so that they can understand what lymphedema is and everything. But everything else has been fine.
Okay. And Cheryl, you mentioned earlier about the Lymphedema Support Network pack for schools, which I think has been really helpful. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, it's been absolutely key. We have utilised that from both children were at nursery, then gone on to primary school and now for secondary school. I have to say, as a mum, I was quite anxious. I think we all are about that transition into secondary school and that transition into kind of teenage life. We've been very, very blessed, as Mary Kate has alluded to. She has her classroom assistant who is very good at finding that balance of Mary Kate doesn't need someone's help all of the time. So, supporting her independence as well as supporting her whenever her lymphedema is causing her problems. So we have that in place. We have had a second wheelchair put into the school. Again, the reason for that being because Mary Kate only needs it sometimes, that she's not relying on us to transport it to and from school. So again, increasing her independence. And we've been so lucky. The school have done a full care plan in what to do when the legs are heavy and sore and tired. So we have a kind of process where she'll try taking the shoes off and elevating, she'll try some massage, and if needs be they'll give paracetamol if it's absolutely required. And having all that set up in school along with the understanding of obviously her peer group and the staff has made us as parents so much more relaxed and obviously contributed to a really enjoyable experience for Mary Kate. And the Lymphedema Support Network packs have been key to starting them conversations and, reassuring school that, you don't need to panic. Mary Kate will be absolutely fine in your care as long as we have these wee things in the background for her. So we just couldn't get them through school life without that information and that support from the LSN.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic what they've done, and hopefully other schools also take that on board. But that's good. Becky, do you want to say anything about that?
I think it's really important, as has been highlighted, that actually it's much more than just the individual with lymphedema. The impact, it's a real wave pool where you get that knock-on effect, and that the importance of involving others, and that's been a really positive experience as well, rather than hiding it or trying to sort of diminish it and sort of cope as an independent person or as a child with a family. Actually involving school, and I know for the Tierney family, that it's not just school, it's outside of school clubs, the football that we spoke about in the video. It's anybody and everybody who's a care provider, or somebody who's going to be spending time with that person, is benefiting from learning about this. It's not about something that everybody comes into contact with every day. No, everybody doesn't know what lymphedema is. We're not blessed that everybody has an understanding of that. But as Mary Kate said, that can be laborious to keep explaining to people what it is. But both Ben and yourself, Mary Kate, are just brilliant at trying to raise awareness.
Okay, I think Becky's got problems with her connection, so I'll just pick that up. I wanted to ask, you mentioned about Ben wanting to play football and the anxiety, but the fact that Mary Kate, you're not prevented from doing anything you want in school activities. But I was going to ask about lympholytics because Becky's involved with that, but I think you've been to lympholytics. So while we're waiting on Becky coming back, do you want to say anything about your experience of going to lympholytics, which is a special event which we run later this year?
I loved it. It was so fun, and it was nice to see other people that had lymphedema and that I understood everything, and it was just a nice experience.
Yeah, and I would concur with that, Margaret. We attended the first ever Lymphoedema event, as I'm sure you probably remember. And Mary Kate was only a year old. She probably didn't remember much about that, but I remember me and her daddy Brian coming home with like a weight off our shoulders that we had met all their parents, seen all their children, a lot older than Mary Kate, living their absolute best lives. And sure, isn't that all we want for our children? And it was great when we reattended then with Mary Kate and Ben a few years ago to see them just fit in and just feel at ease and not have to, as Mary Kate said, explain everything. You know, it was just such a positive experience and definitely something that we need to keep going because it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So Mark, who's also a member of BLS and the Children's Specialist in Lymphoedema group, is asking if you're able to come this year.
We are hoping to make it over this year. It's a bit tricky logistically for us because we're coming from Northern Ireland and we have a lot of planning to do, but we intend to be there this year. Both children are very keen to get back, especially as we've had the break. We've had COVID. We've had a lot of changes since we've last been. So both kids are really hoping that they can get back over and meet some of their old friends and some new ones as well.
Okay. And I can just say for anybody who doesn't know about it, there is more information about it on the British Lymphology Society webpage, particularly for the Children's Lymphoedema Specialist Interest Group, with details of how you can inquire about it. But it is a fun event for all ages and all families of people with young people and children with lymphedema. So that'd be great if you're able to attend that. And Becky, I don't know if you heard that. I've just tried to explain a little bit about lympholitis. Do you want to add anything?
I mean, just please don't let anybody not come to this event that would benefit from coming. 21st of September 2024, we'll be ready, new venue, really exciting. Can't wait to welcome everybody and to have a great day sharing this educational content. There's an exhibition where we can meet manufacturers and loads of fun activities and games.
Okay, that's great. Just when this question came in about compression, and you mentioned compression in the video, Becky, about how that can be quite difficult for young people. So both Mary Kate and Cheryl, do you want to say anything about what the challenges have been for you, and have you overcome those in your treatment with compression?
I think for us, the challenge was initially getting, a service that was prepared to treat a child so young. We're very, very blessed, and I'm well aware of how blessed that we are that our lymphedema service was willing to take Mary Kate on at such a young age. And she was wearing compression garments when she was about 2 years old. Before that, we had done kinesio tape and we had been through all the options that there was. And it was really difficult to try and find the right garments for her. And it's something that we've learned as we've moved along, that it's a very individualized. Mary Kate has Milroy's, so those wee toes are the biggest problems that we have had, has been with the toes. So making sure that you have garments that are comfortable, that are easy to put on, but that are also effective and comfortable for Mary Kate and Ben to wear all day long. So safe to say we've been through them all. She's now very independent, can put her garments on herself, which is fantastic, and that's what we want for her. Obviously, Mummy and Daddy are still here in the background when needed. But getting the right comfort, and I suppose a variety as well. Mary Kate went through a phase where everything had to be pink. So the garments had to be pink, and why shouldn't they be? Totally understandable. I mean, if this is part of their everyday life, then it should be as pretty and as perfect as they want it. So we've been through a variety of colours and a variety of different companies. The current garments she's wearing are fantastic. We've been using them for a long time. They're probably the most comfortable for her. And that's just, as I say, it's become part of everyday life. As Becky has said before, it's just part of, like, it's like brushing your teeth to us here. You just get the garments on. But it's having to do that every day is probably Mary Kate's biggest challenge. Sometimes you feel like you'd want to break. Is that right? So, but other than that, it's essential. So we know that. We have the wee sad moment and then we just get on with it again.
I was going to ask you where some of these snazzy ones are available, but you've answered that. I'll go to Becky because there's a question about what age is it appropriate to use compression garments for children? So maybe you could answer that.
I think there isn't a right or wrong answer initially. So we're needing to get all the benefits of starting compression early. So as with Mary Kate, it becomes that natural thing of brushing your teeth and then putting your socks on, your compression hosiery. So I think we do want to start to get that habit and start early. And some lymphedema in children is really quite problematic, very, very young. So we are looking to control that, especially with footwear in mind. But at the same time, there are some concerns around compression in really small, tiny babies because of bone formation and muscle and tissue placement. So I think it is about working with the British Lymphology Society Children's Special Interest Group, with people who are knowledgeable and skillful in when to use compression. The earlier the better is the kind of general rule, but there are some cautions with that. And really, I don't think that it's something that we would want to advocate people measuring and fitting garments if they weren't experienced practitioners in doing that and used to working with the fabrics that we have available to us and the fit to make sure that that's really comfortable. And we don't want any child to have a negative experience with hosiery that would then mar their wearing of that going forward. It's a big enough ask, as Mary Kate's eloquently said, you know, to do that every day. We don't want it to be problematic. So if you are new to this and looking to fit children with hosiery, I would say get in touch with the group. Don't go at it alone. And there isn't a single age to go for. Every child's different. But I do think that there are just some cautions in the very, very young, tiny babies.
Okay. It's probably appropriate to say a little about the interest group, Becky, because there are a number of services. There's quite a big group now, so there are a number of services around the UK, and there is a list with a map on the BLS website. But if you need anything more local and you want to know what's closest to you, that can be also provided. And there's a charter for care of children, young people available, and there will be guidelines coming shortly. But do you want to say anything else about the group?
I mean, I think it's a really welcoming, really open group to questions, clinical inquiries. We're more than happy to accept at any time, more than happy to accept new members onto the group who may be new to seeing children or have just had one child referred and feel that that's more difficult. Certainly, I think that there's benefits to joining and being with like-minded people, and the documentation that will all be available free of charge through the BLS will be fantastic to support practice in an area which still is very little researched and little known.
Okay. Mary Kate, I'm going to come back about the activity because obviously, I mean, being active when you're young is really important, and we know that being active is really important to help your lymphatic system. What kind of things do you like to do?
I like to go swimming. I went swimming with my primary school and it was so fun. And they made sure that my classroom assistant would be able to help me to make sure that I could go swimming, so that I could like get my stocking done and everything in time.
Yeah.
So that my legs didn't get worse or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not easy to get garments on if your legs have been damp and they're not properly dry. So yeah, that's great. That's good because swimming is such a good exercise for anybody with lymphedema or to help your lymphatic system. So it's great you were able to do that. Anything else?
I joined my school American football team, and my PE teacher was coaching it, and he said that he was like making sure that I knew that if I needed to take a break from it, because there's obviously a lot of running in it, if I need to take a break from it, then I could. And he was very supportive and understanding.
Well, that's really interesting to know because American football is something that a lot of people would have assumed wasn't really a possibility, but it's really good that you've been able to be supported to do that.
He's laughing because I do still freak out a bit whenever they tell me they're going to do these sports. And I think, oh my God, please don't, please, 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 can you not just write poetry or something? But we have to encourage them to take part in everything. So I suck it up and support them as best I can.
And it's all about, looking at what you can do to make it as safe as possible. And obviously, apart from injury, one of the things that we worry about, and we know that children get it, is cellulitis. Has that been a problem for you, Mary Kate?
I haven't had cellulitis since I was
in a long time, quite a few years now.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't remember much about having cellulitis.
Right.
Initially, when she was very small, we had a lot of ingrown toenails and a lot of infections that way that would have led to cellulitis. So Mary Kate had a few kind of hospital admissions as a tiny baby, and even a toddler. But the past number of years, as we've got a better control over lymphedema, she has thankfully been lucky enough to avoid it now for quite some time. As Becky will remember, we had Ben's first hospital admission just last year when he took a staphylococcus infection. So we were all geared up expecting it to be cellulitis, but it actually wasn't. But what we have found out as we were just preparing for Lymphedema Awareness Week this year, we found out that Mary Kate had her first hospital admission at under 2 years. Ben didn't have his until he was 10. And that, I think, is testament to the work that we've done to kind of build a care pathway that we've been able to keep our children out of hospital that bit longer. And we do keep emergency antibiotics at home should there be sudden onset of cellulitis and difficulty in accessing a GP or your hospital service. So we have taken all measures possible, Margaret, to try and avoid cellulitis, and thankfully it's been okay for us now for a number of years, and we're hoping that it stays that way.
Yeah, good. Well, I hope so. It's really good to hear that because we know that when lymphedema is well controlled, it makes a huge difference to your risk of lymphedema. So that's really good. Becky, is there anything else you would like to ask while we've got Mary Kate here and Cheryl, because I know you had a limited time in the interview?
I think it's just so lovely to be talking about and raising awareness about things that lots of the times people don't think that children can have cellulitis. And I think that's really breaking down the barriers of understanding that this can be a significant problem for anyone with lymphedema, but children just as much. And that the guidelines, the British Lymphology guidelines for the management of cellulitis are so important. They don't specifically, they're not specifically aimed at children, but the principles in there, like the keep at home antibiotics, Cheryl, you said about, are so important. And I think also hearing you talk about PE and school activities alongside swimming and stuff is great, because it is something, again, we get asked, or, I've tried to stop so-and-so doing this activity or steer them away from doing it because I'm worried about infections, or I'm worried about breaks in the skin, or their lymphedema becoming worse. So it's great, again, another myth busted of saying that you can do any activity, as much as your mum might be hiding behind the sofa, Mary Kate, that you can do those things. I remember in clinic, one of our young children who was 6 at the time came into clinic and was sheepish in removing his compression hosiery because he was covered in bruises and cuts from a rugby game that was supposed to be non-contact. But I can remember his mum and I looking horrified, saying, "Oh, you can't play rugby," and then thinking, actually, yes, you can. We just need to be much more cautious. And like you said, thinking about those preventative strategies from an infection or an exacerbation of the swelling point of view. Mary Kate, I think that you are such an advocate for lymphedema. You are a celebrity in the world of lymphedema after your world-renowned Learn award that you got. Can you tell us a little bit about the award that you and Ben got?
We got a Courage Award in 2021 during Lymphoedema Awareness Week for doing a 5K to raise awareness for lymphedema.
And you really enjoyed it, didn't
Yeah.
you? And it was funny, Becky, because we had cars strategically placed along the route. with the wheelchairs and the boot, ready to let the kids have a break. And Mary Kate and Ben were absolutely determined that they were not taking a break. They done the full 5K. They couldn't quite walk well the next day. That was fine. They were very headstrong and determined to get it done, and they raised a lot of money. It was so lovely to see them awarded for their bravery.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing, and so well deserved. And one final thing from me, Mary Kate, will you tell us how you would tell somebody what lymphedema was? So if you had a new person come to school and join your class, or somebody new in your year, what would you say if they asked you what lymphedema was?
So I'd probably say that it's a condition that I have in my legs, and it's basically where your lymph nodes don't work, so they can't move like fluid around the body. So the fluid just gets stuck and like causes swelling, and then it gets really sore and tired.
Thank you. I couldn't think of a better way of explaining things to other people. And it's a way that we can understand, and it's a way that other people can understand. And you do so much to try and help us to understand what it's like, because we don't have lymphedema. And that's the other thing that's really important about this, is that actually listening to you as people living with this, it doesn't matter what your mum says or your dad says or your lymphedema therapist says or your teacher says, it's about what you say. So thank you so much for helping us to understand what it's like to have lymphedema.
Thank you very much.
There's just a comment about, in response to what you said about the support you've had at school and what a difference that's made. There's a comment about how we ensure schools understand what it's like for children affected with lymphedema and what you need. I don't know if that's something that the children's group, Becky, would think about, or if you wanted to make any comments on that, because it's probably something that we might be able to do something about.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is something that, so as a lymphedema therapist seeing children, I write to the school and keep them informed with the family's permission, so that they know how those appointments are going, how the progress is going, what the new changes might be. And along with the packs from the Lymphedema Support Network, as Cheryl said, that actually give an overview of everything, which are brilliant. It might be something that we could look at devising a standardised letter that could go out to school alongside the pack, that we could add some individualisation to regarding each person's garments, each person's risks of infection or their abilities, because not everyone has the same ability with lymphedema, and that changes, as Mary Kate said, from day to day, from hour to hour. But definitely I think that would be something really good for us to look at as a group and standardise. And there are children's nurses, and there is a national network now for advanced nurse practitioners working with children that we are linking in with as the British Lymphology Society Children's Group. So looking wider to educate further, and also learn from other practitioners working with children who will need to engage with schools and out of school clubs and other children's services.
Okay, that's great. Thank you all. It's been really positive, really encouraging, quite exciting, thinking the way ahead and what is possible. Is there any message, either Cheryl or Kate, you want to leave people with to think about? Any final message?
Probably just that Mama said, everything will be okay, and you can still live your life with lymphedema.
Yeah, and you certainly are testament to that. So long may it continue, and thank you so much for all you're doing and for joining us here today. And thank you, Becky, for also doing the interview and setting that up.
Thank you so much for having us and for all your hard work. On behalf of Mary Kate and Ben, Margaret, I would like to say a massive thank you to everyone involved in the BLS for their outstanding work that supports families like us and helps us to live this normal life with lymphedema. So we absolutely couldn't do it without you, and your work is vital. So whenever you're having them rough days, please remember that we are extremely grateful for you guys.
Well, seeing what you're doing and how you've come on actually makes it all worthwhile for any of us that are involved in lymphedema. So it's great. So thank you too. But also like just to make a special thanks to the people that joined the webinar today, and a reminder that there are other webinars. There's been a couple, there's another couple to come, but you can still register for them. And even if you can't make it at the time it's on, you'll be able to watch it after that. And remember to share the resources, they're on the website. There is the guidelines that we hope will be coming out soon in relation to children and young people. We will be able to let you know, and the best way to keep up to date with any resources that are coming out from BLS is to sign up as a friend. It doesn't cost anything, and then you'll automatically get a notice when things come out. But thank you all for taking part today. Any more excitement coming up this week, or have you done all your television appearances?
Well, we have another few interviews coming now this afternoon. And then hopefully that'll be the end of that. Mary Kate and Ben both have lots of activities planned for school with their school friends tomorrow and Friday. So that'll be a lovely way to finish the week, and we'll get the media interviews done today and hopefully just get the word out there.
And we're going to see the mayor tonight.
Yes.
She's lighting the Guildhall clock, all the council buildings and everything in Northern Ireland. She's lighting them up blue for World Lymphoedema Day, and we're going to see her tonight, take pictures of it.
Yeah, good job. I forgot about that one. Can't keep up with this diary.
And we might be going to the beach.
You've got such a busy schedule, but hope all goes well, and thank you very much. Good luck with it all, and thanks everybody. We'll close now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.